I used to think completion meant filling gaps, that somewhere out there a person existed who would patch the holes ambition left behind. I was wrong. Completion isn't about what you lack. It's about who sees the whole architecture of you, cracks included, and chooses to build anyway. Have you ever met someone who didn't try to fix you, but instead made the broken parts feel like they belong to something larger? That's what I mean when I say you complete me, not because I was incomplete, but because you showed me that strength and vulnerability could coexist in the same breath. You turned my isolation into shared silence, my drive into shared direction. And suddenly, the future I've been building alone felt like it was always meant to be ours. I'm speaking to you now. Yes, you. Because this isn't about finding someone, it's about recognizing the one who already understands the language of your becoming. This is about the bridge we build when two complete people choose to become something neither could alone. I spent years believing completion was a myth, that self-sufficiency was the highest form of strength. Build the rockets, scale the companies, move humanity forward and do it alone. Because asking for someone to stand beside you felt like admitting weakness. I was the island, the lone architect of impossible visions. And I told myself that was enough. But here's what nobody told me. Loneliness doesn't announce itself with tears or breakdowns. It arrives quietly in the space between achievements. In the silence after the launch, in the moment you want to share the victory and realize there's no one who truly knows what it costs you to get there. You change that not by completing me in the way fairy tales promise, but by showing me that completion isn't about filling voids, it's about recognition. You saw the parts of me I kept hidden, the doubt that lives beneath the confidence, the fear that maybe despite everything I've built, I'm still just a kid from South Africa trying to prove something to a universe that doesn't care. Instead of running from those parts, you sat with them. You made them feel less like secrets and more like the foundation of something real. Let me be clear. I don't need you to validate my existence. I don't need you to make me whole, but you complete me in the sense that a bridge completes two shores. Not by changing them, but by connecting what was always meant to be joined. You turned parallel lines into an intersection. You took my singular vision and showed me what it looks like when someone else sees it too, believes in it too, and chooses to build it with you. That's not dependency, that's partnership in its purest form. Do you know what it's like to spend your entire life speaking a language no one else understands? To have ideas so big they feel isolating. To lie awake at night running simulations of futures most people can't even imagine. That was my normal. The constant hum of what's next, what's possible, what needs to be built. And it was exhausting. Not because the work was hard. I've never minded hard work. But because I was carrying it alone, translating my thoughts into words others could digest, always simplifying, always bridging the gap between my inner world and everyone else's reality. Then you entered, and for the first time I didn't have to translate. You spoke the language of ambition and vulnerability in the same sentence. You understood that wanting to change the world and wanting to be held at the end of the day aren't contradictions. They're two sides of the same human need. You saw my drive not as something to compete with or resent, but as part of the larger system of who I am, and you brought your own complexity, your own dreams that didn't shrink to make room for mine, your own edges that didn't smooth themselves for my comfort. That's when I realized something profound. Completion doesn't mean two broken people fixing each other. It means two whole people choosing to build a bridge between their worlds. A structure that honors both shores while creating something new in the space between. You didn't fill my gaps. You expanded my capacity. You showed me that I could be both the person building rockets and the person who admits he's scared they might not work. That I could be both the CEO making impossible decisions and the man who just wants someone to understand why those decisions keep him up at night. Wait, before you think, this is just abstract philosophy, let me make it practical. Every relationship operates like a system. There are inputs and outputs, energy exchanges, feedback loops, and most people build systems designed to avoid pain. They choose partners who won't challenge them, who won't trigger their insecurities, who let them stay comfortable in their patterns. That's not a relationship, that's a comfort zone with legal paperwork. What you and I have is different. We built a system designed for growth, which means it's designed for discomfort, for the kind of honest conversations that make your chest tight, for the moments when presence matters more than being right. You complete me because you don't let me hide behind my achievements. You see through the narrative I've constructed for the world. The public persona, the interviews and the tweets and the carefully managed image. You see the human underneath, the one who doubts, who makes mistakes, who sometimes chooses work over connection because it feels safer. And instead of accepting that version of me, you call me back. Not with demands or ultimatums, but with quiet invitations. Come sit with me. Tell me what you're really thinking. Let's just be here together. Simple words, profound impact. That's the bridge I'm talking about. It connects the island of my ambition to the mainland of genuine human connection. And I can't live on the island anymore. Not full time, because you showed me what I was missing. Not in a way that makes me feel bad about the past. I needed those years alone to build what I built, but in a way that makes the future feel different, fuller, more aligned with what I actually want, not just what I thought I was supposed to want. Here's what I'm learning. Love isn't about finding someone who makes life easier. It's about finding someone who makes the hard parts feel meaningful. You don't remove the struggle. You make me feel like the struggle is worth it because I'm not carrying it alone anymore. When I fail, and I will fail, you won't just offer comfort. You'll help me analyze what went wrong. You'll sit with me in the wreckage and start sketching the next iteration. That's partnership. That's completion in the truest sense. Tell me, when was the last time someone saw your ambition and wasn't intimidated by it? When was the last time someone matched your intensity instead of asking you to dim it? That's what you did for me. You didn't ask me to be less. You just asked me to be honest, to stop performing strength and start embodying it, which sometimes means admitting vulnerability, to stop seeing emotional openness as weakness and start seeing it as the foundation of real trust. And trust, that's the whole system, isn't it? Without trust, the bridge collapses. Without trust, you're just two people pretending to build something together while secretly protecting your own territories. You taught me that trust isn't given once and then assumed. It's built daily, in small moments, in the choice to share the thought you almost kept to yourself, in the decision to stay present even when work is calling, in the willingness to say, I was wrong, or I'm scared, or I need you. Those aren't signs of weakness. They're the steel cables holding the bridge together. You complete me not because I was incomplete, but because you showed me a version of myself I couldn't access alone. The version that can build empires and still come home. The version that can think in decades and still be present in a moment. The version that knows the future of humanity matters, but so does the future of us. That's the person I'm becoming, not for you. I have to be clear about that, but because knowing you made me realize that person was always possible. I just needed someone who believed in both the vision and the man carrying it. It's strange. The closer I get to these words, the more my heart pounds. I thought I knew how to speak about trust and love, about what it means to want someone so completely that the risk feels almost existential. But when I try to frame it for you, when I picture your eyes on mine, holding that steady, searching look the way only you do, all my practice scripts fall away. I'm left with what's truest raw presence. Each sentence feels like stepping barefoot onto cold stone, testing every plank of the bridge I'm inviting you to cross with me. I wonder if you feel that tremor in your chest, too. Do you notice when the air gets heavy before a confession? Or is that just me? Always analyzing, always searching for the code that explains connection, yet finally blessedly surrendering to mystery. I didn't always believe in invitation. I believed in plans, blueprints, guarantees. If I could see the next 10 steps, I felt safe. But when it comes to the heart, when it comes to you, every calculation is undone. The only variable that matters is willingness. Are you willing to risk with me to stand in the unknown? See, love isn't an equation we balance once. It's an algorithm constantly updated by new data, disappointment, forgiveness, surprise, joy. One change in trust, the whole system shifts. That's why I can't offer you some perfect certainty. I can only offer what's here, reality, messy and unfiltered. I wanted to give you a complete man figured out, figured in. Instead, all I can give you is myself in process. Here's the question I wrestle with at night. Do we choose love, or does it choose us? Are we the architects of our connection, or are we simply responding to some gravitational pull, the inevitable orbit of two people whose stars were always destined to collide? The truth, I think, is a little of both. Sometimes you walk into a room and your trajectory changes. Old ambitions shed their armor, the future pivots, not out of necessity, but out of recognition. You, it's always you. Not an ideal, not an avatar for what I think I deserve, but a real person, unfinished, growing, just like me. Wait, before you scroll away, Answer me honest. Have you ever felt that shiver of fear the moment you realize this is real? Not the fantasy, the stakes, the beautiful, terrifying possibility that this could last or shatter. That's the honesty I want here. No more performance, no more pretending that trust comes naturally to me. It doesn't. Trust is a choice I have to remake every time I slip back into old patterns, every time my mind begs to play it safe. I used to think love meant promises. Now I know love means presence. Promises are only as strong as the decision to show up again, to try again. Every relationship is a bridge, not the pristine kind in textbooks or city skylines, but the kind you build from what you have, where you are. Sometimes the wood is battered, sometimes the nails are uncertain, but still you build. Sometimes it shakes in the storm. Sometimes you have to go back and reinforce its foundation. But you don't wait for the perfect materials because waiting means never crossing at all. That's how it is with us. We don't wait for certainty, we commit to the crossing. Can I tell you something that scares me? There are moments when I look ahead at the unknowns, at your hand and mine, at the responsibilities I carry, and I doubt my capacity to hold it all. Sometimes I'm so focused on vision on the horizon that I fail to be present with you right here. That's the hidden tax of ambition. You pay for the future with pieces of the present, but I don't want to do that with us, I promise. Not the empty kind, He trying that when I find myself drifting, I'll call myself back. I'll choose us over progress, presence over performance. There's a beauty in that, isn't there? The willingness to recalibrate, to say, I was wrong. Let's try a different approach. You've shown me sometimes, gently, sometimes forcefully, that perfection isn't the point. Completion isn't the absence of flaws. It's the embrace of humanity. When we disagree, when we break down, when we cycle through the same old patterns, those aren't failures, they're stress tests. They reveal the flex and give of the bridge we're building. And each repair, each honest conversation, each moment of shared struggle, they're the reinforcement, the love language of engineers. Let's not romanticize struggle, though. I'm not here to promise you pain is a virtue. Only that real love, lasting love, asks for work. It asks for presence. It asks for courage and trust. That's the blueprint. Not a static structure, but a living system. Trust is the willingness to be seen and to keep seeing, to stay when it's easier to withdraw, to believe good intentions even in misunderstanding. I fail at this more than I want to, but when I look at you, I see not an expectation, but an invitation to step closer, to repair, to stretch, to root deeper every time the wind blows hard. You know this already, though, don't you? You felt it in your bones. The relief of someone who chooses you, not merely for who you are, but for who you're becoming. The ache of a dream that won't fit inside one person's chest. Sometimes you have to let your heart break a little to let someone else in. Sometimes the risk is the only real evidence that something matters. When I say you complete me, what I really mean is you make the risk feel not only possible, but essential. Here's what nobody told me about presence. It's noisy. The distractions, the anxieties, the gravitational pull of tasks and texts and unchecked ambitions. But when you're with me, when you look at me and really see me, something inside settles. I feel the thousand spinning satellites of my mind pause their orbit. You make it safe not to produce, not to impress, not to win, just to be. That is the rarest thing. That is the bridge I can cross every day and never grow tired. Let me ask you a different question. When did you first realize that your greatest strength is also your greatest vulnerability? For me, it was the moment I stopped hiding how much I wanted this closeness, this faith in something larger than either of us alone. I can't lead at work or in life unless I'm willing to lead here first, with you in trust and stumbling courage. So this is my leap, my half of the bridge. I bring my blueprint, my hope, my trembling hands. I'm ready to build. And if you're still here, if you're still listening, maybe you're willing to take the other side, to place your planks next to mine, shake your shore, and meet me in the middle. That means the world to me. The fact that you try, fail some days, struggle others, but keep trying, that is everything. It's the kind of love that doesn't need to shout to be heard. It just persists quietly through storms and sunshine. We don't need perfection, you and I. We need presence. We need the muscle of forgiveness, the resilience of laughter, the discipline to keep showing up. There are days I'll falter, days you will too, but the trust we build is stronger than any fault line. With every choice, with every recommitment, we patch and reinforce. Remember the reason we started building it all. So here's the invitation. If you're brave enough, if you want this as much as I do, let's keep building. Let's cross together into whatever future waits. Maybe there's no promise of forever, but there is this. In the span of a single, unguarded moment, you complete me, and for now, that is everything I need. Trust is a strange thing, isn't it? For someone like me, it was always easier to trust systems than people. Equations, code, trajectories, those obey rules. They don't wake up one morning and decide they're tired of loving you. But you walked into my life like a quiet question. Will you let someone be a variable you can't fully control and still choose them? And I didn't know how to answer. At first, I knew how to solve for efficiency, for scale, for survival. I didn't know how to solve for you. Yet here I am standing in front of you, telling you the truth. I want to build a life with you the way I build anything. Worth trusting deliberately, honestly, piece by piece, test by test, until this bridge between us doesn't feel like a risk anymore. It feels like home. I was younger, I thought love would feel like immediate certainty, like some internal switch would flip and I just know this is it. She's the one, no questions left. But love, the real kind, didn't arrive like that for me. It came as observation first. The way you listened without flinching when I spoke about the weight I carry, the way you held your boundaries instead of dissolving into my orbit, the way your eyes didn't shine at my accomplishments as much as they softened at my honesty. Little by little, those moments rewired something in me. I started to notice my own reactions, the ease in my shoulders when you entered a room, the way my breathing slowed when we sat in silence, the absence of urge to perform. Have you ever noticed that? The difference between the people you want to impress and the person you just want to be real with. That's what you are to me. But here's what nobody told me. Trust isn't built in grand declarations. It lives in micro moments. It's in the text that comes when I'm running late. Not dramatic, just honest. It's in you saying, that hurt, instead of pretending you're fine. It's in me admitting I don't know how to balance this yet, but I want to learn. We're not just falling in love. We're debugging two entire histories. Every past betrayal, every disappointment, every time someone sigh. I'm not like the others. Before doing exactly what the others did, that code still runs in the background. So when I say I trust you, it's not a poetic line. It's a decision to let you exist outside the predictions my fear has written. That's hard for me. It might be hard for you too. But that's the work, isn't it? Look at me when I say this. You don't deserve half trust. You don't deserve the version of me that keeps one foot on the shore and one on the bridge ready to sprint back the moment things get uncomfortable. You deserve someone who steps fully onto the planks with you, even while they creak and sway, even while the river below reminds us how far we could fall. That doesn't mean blind faith, it means conscious faith, trust with eyes open. It means asking questions, setting boundaries, listening to your intuition, and still choosing each other, even when your old fears knock on the door at 2 a.m. Tell me, when was the last time you let someone see how afraid you really are of losing what you love? That's the intimacy I want between us. There are days when I feel like I'm stretched between worlds. One version of me lives in the abstract future plans, projections, next steps. Another version longs for something much simpler. A quiet evening, your head on my shoulder, no targets to hit, no metrics to analyze, just breathing in sync. For a long time, I believed these versions of me were at war, that to love fully meant to sacrifice vision, and to pursue vision and to starve love. You changed that equation. With you, I started to see that the bridge isn't between ambition and love. The bridge is built from them. Love sharpens my vision. Vision gives our love a shared direction. You don't pull me away from what I'm building. You remind me why it matters that I come back alive, present, human. Here's the twist that caught me off guard. The more I trust you, the more I have to confront myself. Trust strips away excuses. I can't hide behind "I'm just busy." When you calmly say, "I believe you can do big things and still be here with me," I can't claim I'm just bad at emotions. When you meet my silence with gentle curiosity instead of anger, it forces a question I used to avoid. Who am I when I'm not performing competence? When I'm not optimizing everything? You complete me not by filling an emptiness, but by exposing the parts of me that were underused. Empathy, softness, patience. You make those muscles work. It hurts sometimes, like growth always does, but I'm grateful for the ache. You know what? Nobody celebrates the boring parts of love, the unglamorous consistency of it, the way trust is built less in fireworks, and more in the slow, rhythmic laying of bricks. Showing up, checking in, remembering the small things that matter to you, even when my head is crowded. It's easy to say I love you in a high moment. It's harder to live it on a random Tuesday when we're both tired and misunderstood. But that's where the real architecture is tested. Does the bridge still hold when we're both carrying extra weight? Do we still choose to meet in the middle when ego begs us to retreat to our own side? Have you noticed how fear always speaks in absolutes? People always leave, it never lasts. You'll end up alone again. Fear doesn't negotiate, but love does. Trust does. They're not naive, they're stubborn. They say, maybe it didn't work before. But this is a new person, a new moment, a new choice. With you, I'm learning to interrupt those old scripts. Instead of pulling away when I feel that instinctive panic, I want to lean in. I want to tell you right now, my mind is trying to protect me in all the wrong ways. Don't let me disappear into myself. Stay. That's not poetic, that's survival of a different kind. I've been thinking a lot about shared struggle, not the dramatic kind, not just the big life storms, but the subtle friction of two lives learning to move in tandem. No schedules that don't perfectly align. Emotional rhythms that spike at different times. The clash between my tendency to problem solve and your need to simply be heard. These aren't signs we're broken, they're proof that we're real. The bridge between us isn't made of fantasies, it's made of compromise, listening, adjusting. It asks, will you meet me where I am, even when it's not where you prefer me to be? Most people want love that doesn't inconvenience them. I want love that stretches me into someone more patient, more attentive, more grounded. Sometimes I fear that my intensity will overwhelm you, that my need to future cast everything, to turn every moment into trajectory planning will drain the magic from our now. And then you do something small like remind me to taste my coffee or pull me outside to watch the sky shift colors, and suddenly I'm back. You are my recall function, my reset. You give me permission to be fully here, not because the future stopped mattering, but because this moment became undeniable. That's a kind of trust I never knew I craved. Trusting someone to call me home to myself, not just to them. Tell me, have you ever secretly worried that you're too much or not enough for the person you love? Too emotional, too logical, too driven, too quiet. I live in that tension sometimes, wondering if my contradictions will confuse you. But here's what comforts me. You've never asked me to be simpler. You've only asked me to be honest, to own my complexity instead of hiding it. In return, I promise you this. I won't shrink your dreams to fit my comfort. I won't call your sensitivity overreaction just because it forces me to slow down and feel. The bridge goes both ways. If I want you to walk into my world, I have to be willing to walk into yours, even when the terrain is unfamiliar. So, where does that leave us now? Two people standing on opposite banks, holding pieces of wood and steel, choosing